You just got stopped at airport security for a bottle of water. 10 minutes later, the airport sells you another one for $6. So what exactly was dangerous? The water, the bottle, or the fact that you didn't buy it from them? That is why this rule feels so strange. A knife? Sure. Fireworks? Obviously. But a bottle of water? A tube of toothpaste? A jar of peanut butter? Yes. Even that can become a problem. Because airport security is not only looking at what something is supposed to be, it has to worry about what something could be hiding. And that concern started with one of the biggest aviation security scares in modern history. On August 10th, 2006, global aviation was shaken when authorities uncovered a plot to use liquids disguised as soft drinks to make explosives on board passenger planes. That was the moment airport security changed forever. The frightening part was how ordinary the plan looked. No obvious weapon, no knife, no gun, no strange metal device. Just drink bottles. The attackers allegedly planned to carry separate liquid components through security, disguised to look like normal soda. Once on board, they would mix them inside the airplane lavatory and use a small electronic device to trigger an explosion. That is why liquids became such a nightmare for airport security. A scanner can flag a blade. A security officer can notice a suspicious tool. But a bottle that looks like cola, a tube that looks like toothpaste, a container that looks like lotion, that is much harder to judge in a busy airport. Especially when thousands of passengers are rushing through, laptops are coming out, belts are coming off, and someone is still surprised that a pocket full of coins sets off a metal detector. Suddenly, security teams had to answer a brutal question. How do you stop dangerous liquids without making flying impossible for everyone else? And the first answer was not elegant. After the plot was exposed, airports moved into emergency mode. Liquids and gels were heavily restricted. Passengers had to throw away drinks, toiletries, cosmetics, and anything that looked even slightly questionable. As an emergency reaction, it made sense. If officers could not quickly tell whether a liquid was harmless or dangerous, the safest immediate response was to keep liquids out of the cabin. But that kind of rule creates its own problems fast. People need liquid medicine. Babies need formula or breast milk. Travelers need basic toiletries. And this is the part that matters. Airport security has to work in real life. It cannot become a 5-minute chemistry discussion with every traveler holding a half-empty shampoo bottle. So experts had to find a compromise. They needed a limit small enough to reduce the danger, but practical enough for millions of passengers to follow. That question gave us the rule travelers now know by heart, even if they still hate it. The 100 milliliter limit is not random. Security experts studied how dangerous liquids could be carried, mixed, and used, and how much material would be needed to create a serious threat. The conclusion was that very small containers made the risk far easier to manage. That is why many countries use the familiar limit, 100 milliliters or about 3.4 ounces. And yes, the container matters. If you bring a giant bottle with only one sad sip of water left at the bottom, it can still be rejected. Not because that tiny sip is terrifying, but because the rule cannot depend on measuring, trusting, and debating every half-empty bottle in the line. Imagine if every passenger got to argue, "But it's almost empty, but it's my emotional support iced tea." The line would never move. So the rule uses container size because it is visible and fast. That is also where the 3-1-1 rule comes in. Containers under 100 milliliters, all packed into one clear plastic bag. One bag per passenger. Sounds simple enough? Until you are standing barefoot at 5:40 in the morning, trying to pull that little plastic bag out of a carry-on, stuffed with chargers, snacks, a hoodie you will never wear, and that one mysterious sock you swear you did not pack. And just when you think you understand the rule, airport security hits you with a plot twist. When airports say liquids, they usually mean liquids, aerosols, gels, creams, and pastes. That includes obvious things like water, perfume, shampoo, sunscreen, and toothpaste. But then come the items that catch people off guard. Peanut butter, yogurt, jam, honey, cream cheese, sauces, some spreads. At that point, you are not just packing for a trip. You are accidentally taking a science quiz. Is it solid? Is it liquid? Is it a gel? Is it emotionally a snack but legally a paste? Nobody wants to ask that question while holding up a security line, but that is exactly where travelers get surprised. A simple way to think about it is this. If it pours, sprays, spreads, squeezes, smears, or slowly leaks into your backpack at the worst possible moment, security may treat it like a liquid. Annoying? Yes. But once you know it, you can plan around it. Still, there are situations where the 100 milliliter rule does not apply in the usual way. Airport security knows some liquids are necessary. If you need liquid medication, that is different. If you are traveling with baby formula, breast milk, toddler drinks, or baby food, that is different too. These items can often exceed the normal 100 milliliter limit, but do not treat that as a secret trick. Declare them. Tell the security officer before screening. They may inspect them separately, test them, or ask a few questions. It might take a little longer, but it is much better than hiding something important at the bottom of your bag and hoping nobody notices. And here is where travel gets messy. Rules are not identical everywhere. Rules can vary by country, airport, route, security equipment, and even whether you are catching a connecting flight. So if something matters, medicine, baby supplies, expensive cosmetics, duty-free liquids, check before you fly. Because the worst time to learn a rule is when your flight is boarding and your favorite perfume is being lowered into the security bin like a fallen soldier. But now we are back to the question that makes everyone suspicious. If your bottle from home is banned, why is the bottle after security allowed? The difference is control. The bottle from home is an unknown variable. Security does not know where it came from, whether it was opened, or what was poured into it. The bottle sold after security comes from inside the airport's controlled area. It entered through airport procedures, not through a random backpack. That is why an empty reusable bottle is usually fine. Empty bottle through security, refill it after. Cheap, beautiful. The closest thing to beating airport prices without breaking a rule. But there is one catch: connecting flights. You might buy water after security in one airport, land somewhere else, go through another checkpoint, and suddenly that same bottle becomes a problem again. But this rule may not last forever, because the real problem has always been uncertainty, and newer CT scanners are getting better at removing it. Think of an older scanner like a flat image. Useful, but limited. A CT scanner creates a detailed 3D view of your bag. Security officers can examine objects from different angles, and detection software gets more information to work with. In normal human language, the machine gets better at understanding what it is looking at. That is why some airports, in certain lanes with approved CT scanners, have started relaxing parts of the liquid rule. But before you start packing a 2-liter bottle of shampoo, check the airport first. Scanners are expensive, staff need training, rules need approval, and every country updates at its own speed. So one airport may feel like the future, while another still makes you pull out a tiny plastic bag like it is a sacred ritual from 2006. Until your airport clearly says otherwise, assume the 100 milliliter rule still applies. In other words, your shampoo may be living in the past for a little longer. And if you forget, well, that depends on where you are and how much time you have left. So why can no one bring liquids on a plane? The honest answer is, people can bring liquids, but only under controlled conditions. So next time someone has to surrender a bottle of water at airport security, remember this: they are not banning water, they are banning uncertainty. And until every airport has the technology to remove that uncertainty quickly, the safest travel strategy is boring but effective: Pack small, refill later, and never let a full-size shampoo become the main character of your travel day. So what do you think? Are liquid rules a necessary safety measure, or just the most annoying part of flying? Tell me in the comments. And if this video helped you finally understand the logic behind the rule, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still tries to bring a family-sized toothpaste through security. Safe travels, and may your peanut butter make it to the other side.